My stepson said I had no say in house rules and how he lives his life, so I gave him my final words. You are not my responsibility anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. I used to believe the worst thing a kid could say to you was, I hate you. Turns out, you were never my dad. Hits a lot harder when you've already drained your savings on someone else's future. I'm 45 years old, and for a long time, I thought I was that boring, steady guy everyone could rely on. I bought a small 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood, worked a stable job in logistics, and lived the kind of life that doesn't make headlines. No drama, no arrests, no crazy exes. Just early alarms, packed lunches, and weekend Home Depot runs. Then I met Karen. She was 38 when we met, a nurse with tired eyes and a tired laugh, the kind you only hear from people who've had to be strong for way too long. She had a son from her previous marriage, Dylan, who was 14 at the time. He alternated between grunts and eye rolls as his primary language. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. She spilled her drink on my shoes, apologized 3 times, and laughed at herself in this self-deprecating way that made it impossible to be annoyed. We talked about music, work, divorces that left more scars than memories. I drove her home that night because her car was giving her trouble. That's when I met Dylan properly. He opened the door, earbuds in, eyebrows raised. "Mom, you bring home another project?" he said, staring straight at me. Karen snapped, "Dylan?" in that tight warning tone only single mothers have. I laughed it off. Teenage sarcasm never scared me. I grew up with 2 brothers who made roasting a competitive sport. I figured he'd come around. Spoiler, he did, just not in the way I expected. For the first year, I played it slow. I was Mom's boyfriend, not trying to be anyone's replacement dad. I fixed their leaky faucet, unclogged a bathroom drain that genuinely made me question the existence of hair follicles, and started doing small grocery runs when Karen was on late shifts. Dylan mostly ignored me unless something broke or he needed a ride. The first time he called me by my name instead of or hey, it was because his Xbox wasn't connecting to the Wi-Fi. "Hey Matt, the internet's down." It was nothing, just a casual throwaway line. But Karen shot me a look like we'd just hit some emotional milestone. We didn't say it out loud, but I felt it too. Some tiny corner of me thought, okay, we're getting somewhere. We moved in together after 2 years of dating. By then, Dylan was 16. I sold my smaller place, and we picked a house with enough room for all 3 of us, plus the dog Karen promised we wouldn't get, and then accidentally adopted 3 months later. The house was mine legally. Every document had my name on it, not because I was suspicious, just because I was the one paying the down payment and taking on the mortgage. Karen contributed what she could, and I never held it over her. We were building something together, right? That's what adults do. Dylan had his own room, his own bathroom, and the biggest closet in the house because teenage boys are basically walking laundry piles, Karen said. I bought him a decent desk, a better chair when he complained his back hurt, and upgraded the internet package so his online classes and gaming wouldn't lag. We did the whole family routine. I taught him how to use a drill without losing a finger, sat through parent-teacher conferences where his science teacher always said the same thing. Smart kid, low effort. Took him for his driving test twice. He failed the first time for rolling through a stop sign, then sulked for 2 days and refused to talk to either of us. Still, small progress. He'd wander into the kitchen while I cooked and ask, "What are you making?" He started calling me Matt consistently, then sometimes dude, which for a teenage boy is practically a love language. I never pushed the dad label. That's a dangerous thing to reach for. You don't grab for it. You wait and hope someone hands it to you. Fast forward 3 years. Dylan is 18, finishing high school in the most technically true way possible. He's not failing, but he's also not trying. His idea of a productive day is 12 hours of online games and 3 reheated slices of pizza. Karen kept saying, he'll figure it out, he's just a late bloomer, and I wanted to believe her. Except it's hard to believe in blooming when the plant keeps unplugging the grow light and sleeping till noon. We had rules. They weren't harsh. No drugs in the house. No screaming matches at 2 a.m. If you're 18 and you're not in school full-time, you either work or contribute somehow. Basic respect agreements so that 3 people could live under one roof without hating each other. The first real crack appeared the night I saw Dylan in the driveway with his biological father, Mike. I knew of Mike, obviously. He was the ghost Karen never mentioned unless it was to explain a missed child support payment or why Dylan was in a mood after a weekend visit. According to Karen, he was charming when sober, destructive when not, which is a poetic way to say he was a flake with good hair. I came home late from a double shift and saw them there, Dylan leaning against Mike's car, arms folded in that posture teenage boys adopt when they're trying to look harder than they feel Mike was smoking, gesturing with his cigarette like he was giving some grand life advice. They didn't see me pull up. I stayed in my car with the engine off, watching. "I'm telling you, man," Mike said, voice carrying just enough in the quiet street. "You're 18. He can't tell you how to live your life. You're not a kid anymore." "He keeps going on about rent and chores like I'm some tenant," Dylan muttered. "This house isn't even his, it's Mom's." That line shot through me like ice water. My name was on the mortgage, my credit on the line. My overtime hours pay for electricity, water, internet, and groceries. But what he believed, what Mike was feeding him, was a different story. "You think your mom would even have this place if it wasn't for me?" Mike laughed. "I helped her out in the beginning." Lie. I'd seen the financial history when Karen and I got serious. I knew what debts we were both bringing in. There was no hidden benefactor in this story, just me, my savings, and a lot of hard work. "I'm not going to let some dude who married my mom tell me when to be home," Dylan said, kicking a pebble. Some dude. That one stung more than I wanted to admit. I slipped out of my car and closed the door louder than necessary. They turned. Mike's grin flickered. "Hey, man," he said, as if we were old buddies catching up. "Just talking to the kid. You know, man to man." I ignored him. "Dylan, your mom's inside looking for you. Dinner's getting cold." He rolled his eyes but went in. Mike lingered, giving me that appraising look some men reserve for mechanics and rival dogs. "You should cut him some slack," he said. "He's a good kid." "A good kid doesn't spend my money and spit in my face," I replied calmly. He scoffed. "Your money? Relax. He's not your son, man. Don't take it so personally." It was one of those sentences that should have started a fight. Instead, it did something worse. It planted a seed. Not my son. I went to bed that night with that phrase echoing in my skull, bouncing off the years of school supplies, birthday gifts, rides to practice, bailouts from stupid decisions. Not my son. Every little tension after that landed differently. Dylan was blasting music at 1 a.m., even after we'd talked about quiet hours. Dishes left in the sink, because I'll get to them later. That mysteriously never got done I lined up for him at my company's warehouse that he forgot to attend. Karen kept smoothing it over. "He's stressed. He's figuring himself out. He's not like you. He's not a planner." Meanwhile, I started seeing more signs that Mike was playing puppet master. I found a text thread on the family iPad one night, the one we all used for streaming movies. Dylan had logged into his iMessage and forgotten to log out. Yes, I read it. No, I don't feel guilty about it. From Mike. "You don't owe that guy anything. He chose your mom. You didn't choose him." From Dylan. "He keeps saying I have to pay rent or move out. What kind of dad does that?" From Mike. "He's using you. House rules my ass. You're an adult. You set your own rules now." I took a screenshot. Then I locked the iPad and sat with that cold feeling in my chest that doesn't quite qualify as anger yet. It's more like pre-anger, a simmering awareness that a line is being crossed repeatedly and you're the only one who sees it. 2 weeks later, the line vanished altogether. It was a Thursday night. I'd just gotten home, still in work boots, smelling faintly like cardboard and diesel. I walked into the living room and nearly tripped over a pile of shoes. The coffee table was covered in fast food containers and Gatorade bottles. Dylan was sprawled on the couch, headset on, yelling into his mic. I glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. "Dylan," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "We've talked about this. It's almost midnight. I've got to be up at 5. We need quiet after 11. He didn't even pause his game. "Hang on, guys," he said into the mic, then pushed it slightly up. "Can you not right now? I'm in the middle of something." "Yeah," I replied. "So am I. The part of my life where I pretend this is a house and not a frat dorm. Turn it down and clean this up before you go to bed." He froze, the headset askew on his head, and turned to look at me like I'd spoken another language. "What?" "You heard me," I said. Volume down, trash in the bin, dishes in the sink, basic respect stuff. He snorted. Dude, you're not my drill sergeant. Correct, I said. I'm the guy paying for the roof over your head. That comes with some expectations. He rolled his eyes, pulled the headset back on, and muttered, You don't get to tell me how to live my life. I stepped closer. What did you just say? He ripped the headset off entirely, anger flushing his face. I said, he raised his voice, you don't get to tell me how to live my life. You're not my dad. You're just the guy who thinks he runs the house because his name's on some paper. This is my mom's house. You have no say in how I live or what I do. The room went very still. There are moments where your brain offers you a menu of responses. Shout, throw something, say something cruel you can't take back. Instead, I felt everything go oddly calm. Okay, I said quietly. So that's how you see it. Karen appeared in the doorway, hair messy from sleep, eyes wide. What's going on? Dylan pointed at me. He's freaking out because I don't want to follow his stupid rules. I looked at her. Did you know he thinks this is your house, not mine? She blinked. What? No, that's not Dylan. Where did you get that from? From Mom, he shot back. From Mike. From basic reality. You'd still have a place without him. He just acts like he owns us because he pays some bills. Some bills. The seed Mike planted had grown roots. Karen stammered something about everyone needing to calm down, but I'd already made a decision. Not the explosive kind. The dangerous, quiet kind. Got it, I said. You don't consider me a parent. You don't think I have a say in house rules. You believe this is your life? Your choice is my wallet? Thanks for clarifying. Dylan folded his arms, defiant. Good. Glad we're on the same page. He thought he'd won. He thought this was about dishes and decibels. He had no idea I was already mentally walking through spreadsheets, bank statements, and legal rights. I didn't sleep much that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying years of little sacrifices, the extra shifts, the vacations we didn't take, the things I told myself we'd do when Dylan's older. Not my son. No say in house rules. Some guy who pays some bills. By morning, the ache in my chest had cooled into something solid, not revenge exactly, just a boundary finally hitting concrete. I woke up early as usual, made coffee, and opened my laptop at the kitchen table. I pulled up the bank app, the mortgage portal, and the utilities. I printed everything. Mortgage statement with my name on it, electric, water, and internet bills. I printed the screenshot from his text conversation with Mike. I printed a blank month-to-month rental agreement from a legal template site I'd bookmarked and never thought I'd use. When Karen came down, she frowned at the pile of paper. What are you doing? Documenting reality, I said. We're going to have a family meeting tonight. All three of us. She looked nervous. Can we just let last night go? He was being a jerk, yes, but... He said out loud what he's clearly believed for a while. I cut in. I'm not ignoring that. She sighed, rubbed her temples, and muttered, I'll talk to him. You should, I replied. But I'm still having that meeting. Dylan stumbled into the kitchen at noon, hair messy, wearing the same hoodie from the night before. He opened the fridge, ignoring me. Family meeting tonight, I said. 7 o'clock, living room. I have plans, he said, without turning around. Cancel them, I replied. You live here. You can give me an hour. He rolled his eyes but didn't argue. At 7, they both sat on the couch, Karen tense, Dylan slouched, scrolling his phone. I had my stack of papers on the coffee table and a legal pad. Okay, I began, calm. Last night, Dylan made some things very clear. I want to make sure we're all hearing the same story. Dylan snorted. Oh my God. You said, I continued, looking directly at him, that I have no say in house rules. That I'm not your dad. That this is your mom's house, not mine, and I'm just a guy who pays some bills. He shrugged, not quite meeting my eyes. Yeah, that's what I said. Great, I said. Now let me show you my version. I laid out the mortgage statement with my name, the deed in my name, the utility bills, the grocery receipts with my card number. This is the house, I said. This is how it stays warm, lit, and connected to the internet you love so much. Right now, I cover 100% of this. That's not a guilt trip. That's a fact. Karen contributes where she can, but legally and financially, I'm the owner and primary provider. Karen looked down, cheeks pink. Dylan's jaw tightened. So there's a mismatch, I continued. You live here like it's a dorm your parents owe you. I treat you like a son. You see me as an obstacle with a wallet that can't continue, so we're going to fix the mismatch. By throwing me out? He snapped. No, I said, by taking you at your word. I slid the blank month-to-month rental agreement across the table. His eyes widened. What is this? You're 18, I said. You've made it crystal clear you don't see me as a parent and don't want parental oversight. That means you're not a child in this house. You're a legal adult living in someone else's property. So you can choose. We either reframe this as a rental situation with clear terms, or you find a place where you make your own rules entirely. Karen gasped. Matthew. I held up a hand. No yelling, no dramatics. I am not kicking anyone out tonight. I'm saying the arrangement changes. The free ride is over. Not because I don't care, but because you clearly don't want what I'm offering as a parent. Dylan stared at the contract like it might bite him. How much? He said, voice tight. $400 a month, I replied. That's less than half what a room in this area costs, including utilities. You will also handle your own laundry, keep your room and bathroom clean, and respect quiet hours. You miss rent by more than a week without talking to us first. The agreement ends, and you have 30 days to find a new place. That's insane, he spat. You can't charge me rent. Mom? Karen looked torn. $400 is honestly generous, Dylan. You know what apartments go for. I'm your kid, he said desperately. You told me I'm not your dad, I said softly. Your exact words were that I don't get to tell you how to live your life. This is me believing you. You don't get dad treatment if you won't accept dad's authority. Silence. Heavy, thick, stretching across the room. He finally shoved the paper away. I'm not signing that. Then you have 30 days, I said. Today's the 15th. By the 15th next month, you either sign a lease somewhere else, or you sign this and stay as an adult tenant. Until then, I'll cover what I've been covering. After that, my responsibility ends. My responsibility ends. The words felt like a knife in my own chest, even as I said them. Dylan stormed out, slammed his bedroom door. Karen rounded on me. That was too much, she said, eyes shiny. He's still a teenager. He's 18 years old and wants adult freedom with zero accountability, I replied. And apparently, he gets that message reinforced by his biological father. I slid the printed screenshot of his messages with Mike across the table. Karen's face went pale as she read. He thinks you owe him a house without rules, I said, because Mike told him so. I'm not competing with that fantasy. She put a hand to her mouth. I didn't know he was saying these things. I didn't know. I believe you, I said quietly. But knowing it now, we both have a choice. Either we keep enabling this and resent each other silently, or we draw a line. This is my line. The next 2 weeks were tense beyond measure. Dylan barely spoke to me. When he did, it was transactional. We're out of milk. The Wi-Fi is lagging. Have you seen my charger? I answered politely. Nothing more. I stopped offering rides. I stopped reminding him about job openings. I stopped picking up his slack around the house. When Karen asked why I was being so cold, I answered honestly, I'm treating him exactly how he said he wanted to be treated. Like a guy who lives here, not a son. The first crack in his defiance came when his car insurance bill arrived. Up until then, I'd been paying for it because we lived in a suburb, and I didn't want him stranded or uninsured. When the renewal notice came, I set it on the kitchen table with a sticky note. Your insurance expires in 30 days. I'm not renewing it. You'll need to set up your own policy by then, or the car stays parked. M. He came storming into my room that evening, waving the bill. What is this? Your reminder, I said, closing my laptop. You want independence. That includes paying for the privilege of driving. I can't afford this. Then you have options, I said calmly. Get a job, sell the car, carpool, or work something out with your mom. But my days of quietly covering everything while being told I have no say are over. He glared at me like he wanted to burn a hole through my skull. "You're punishing me." "No," I said. "I'm realigning reality with your words. You said, I'm not your dad. I'm not. I'm just the guy who owns the house and paid for your life up to now, and I'm done doing it unappreciated." He left, slamming the door so hard a picture rattled off the wall. I didn't follow. I picked up the frame, rehung it, and went back to my laptop. The second crack came when Mike flaked. Dylan had this big plan. He'd go live with his dad if things got too toxic with me. I know this because I overheard him telling a friend on the phone. Worst case, I'll just move in with my real dad. He gets it. 2 weeks before the 30-day deadline, he tried to test that theory. I came home from work and found the living room half empty. His gaming setup was gone, clothes stuffed into trash bags by the door. Karen was on the couch, red-eyed. "He's going to Mike's," she said hollowly. They had a man-to-man talk and decided that's best. I stared at the bags. "Did he sign a lease somewhere else?" "No," she said. "He says he doesn't need to. Mike said he can stay as long as he wants." I nodded. "Okay." "Okay," she repeated, like she'd expected a fight. "Yeah," I said. "He wants to see what life is like without my rules. Let him." Dylan walked in, keys jangling, self-satisfaction radiating off him like cheap cologne. He loaded the bags into his car, the car I was still technically insuring for another 2 weeks. "Don't worry," he said, not looking at me. "I'll be out of your hair by tonight." I looked him dead in the eye. "Good luck, Dylan," I said. "Genuinely, I hope you find whatever it is you think you're owed." He opened his mouth like he wanted a final blow, some parting shot. Instead, he just huffed, slammed his trunk, and drove off. The house felt cavernous that first night. No blaring late-night game sounds. No half-eaten food fossilized on plates. No slamming doors. Just quiet. Karen cried herself to sleep. I stared at the ceiling again, feeling a mix of grief and relief so tangled I couldn't tell one from the other. 10 days later, the text started, from Karen first. He says Mike's place is small, couch only. He can't sleep. Then, they got into a fight. Mike wants him to pay rent and help with his errands. Dylan says it's worse than here. The one that hit me. Mike took his car keys away to motivate him to either pay up or do everything Mike says. He asked if you'd change your mind if he could come back like before. I sat with that message for a long time, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Before he told me I wasn't his dad. Before he weaponized, "You have no say," while I was paying for everything. Before he made it clear that my effort was expected, not appreciated. I finally replied, "If he comes back, it will not be like before." Karen responded immediately. "What does that mean?" "It means he needs to know the terms before he walks back in this door," I typed. "I'm not going back to being the invisible foundation." "I'll tell him," she wrote back. 2 days later, Dylan showed up at the door. No bags this time, just himself. Tired eyes, clothes wrinkled, a smell of stale cigarettes clinging to him that definitely didn't come from our house. Karen rushed to the door before I could move. "Oh my God, baby, come here," she said, hugging him like a soldier returning from war. He hugged back stiffly, eyes flickering past her to me. "Can we talk?" he said. To me. I nodded and stepped aside to let him in. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I'd laid out bills and contracts. The same one where he'd told me I had no authority. He looked smaller somehow, less sure. "Mike's place isn't what I thought," he said finally. "I'm sorry to hear that," I replied. "He drinks more now," he admitted. "He was cool at first, but then he started asking for money for utilities and help around the house. And when I said I didn't have a job, he called me useless and said if I wasn't paying, I'd better be doing everything. Cleaning, laundry, and driving him around. He took my car keys when I refused. Said he was motivating me." I stayed quiet. Let him talk. "He said if I didn't like it, I could leave," Dylan added, voice cracking. "Just like you said." "I didn't say just like that," I replied evenly. "I gave you 30 days and an option to stay as an adult. He gave you an ultimatum and took your property." Dylan swallowed hard. "He told me you were controlling, that you were trying to buy me." And now? I asked. He stared at his hands. Now I think you were trying to give me things he never would. Structure. A chance to not end up like him. Karen sniffled quietly behind us. So why are you here? I asked. What are you asking for? He took a shaky breath. I want to come back, he said. I'll pay rent. I'll get a job. I just don't want to be with him. The part of me that had watched him grow from sullen kid to complicated almost man wanted to say yes immediately. Wrap him up, bring him home, pretend none of it happened. The wiser part of me knew that's how we got here. I'm not your dad, I said quietly. He flinched like I'd slapped him. I know, he whispered. No, I continued. You told me I wasn't, repeatedly. You used that as a shield against any responsibility. So if you come back, it will be with that understanding I am not your father. I am the owner of this house. I care about you. I care about your mom. I want you to succeed. But I will not be emotionally blackmailed into being a ghost dad with a credit card. He nodded slowly, tears building in his eyes. So here are your options, I said, sliding the rental agreement from a folder I'd kept in the kitchen drawer, labeled just in case. Option 1. You come back as a tenant, $400 a month. Chores, quiet hours. You get a job or enroll in trade school within 60 days. This is a written agreement we all sign. You break it, you leave. Option 2. You don't come back. You figure it out somewhere else. I will not be in the middle again. He stared at the paper, lips trembling. That's it? He asked. No. Dad stuff? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I will help where I can. I will give advice when you ask. I will show up to milestones if you invite me. But emotionally? I shook my head. You made it clear that every time I try to step into that role, you'll remind me I'm not entitled to it. I'm not putting my heart there anymore. That part of the deal is done. Tears spilled over. He wiped them away angrily, a kid still trapped inside the almost man. I was stupid, he choked. I said awful things. I thought you were trying to control me. I didn't realize you were keeping me from ending up like him. I let the apology sit in the air. It was real. I could feel that. But real doesn't mean you rewind the tape and pretend the damage didn't happen. You were hurtful, I said. But I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing this because you're 18, nearly 19, and we can't live in a house where you have all the freedom of an adult and all the protections of a child with none of the responsibilities of either. He glanced at Karen, then back at me. If I sign this, he asked, tapping the paper, are you just going to hate me quietly? I exhaled. I don't hate you, Dylan. I'm just done volunteering for a job you won't let me have. If you show me over time that you can be respectful, responsible, and trustworthy, maybe we'll find a new kind of relationship, but I'm not chasing you for it anymore. He picked up the pen. His hand shook as he signed his name. That was the night I gave him my final words as a parent and my first words as a landlord. You are not my responsibility anymore. You are your own, act like it. It wasn't a dramatic mic drop, no shouting, no slammed doors, just a line drawn in ink on paper and in my heart. The months that followed were different. He got a job stocking shelves at a grocery store. At first, he complained about the hours, the customers, and the manager who made him redo things. But slowly, the complaints turned into stories. The weird customer, the funny coworker, how satisfying it was to see a perfectly stocked aisle. He paid rent on time every month except once. He was 3 days late and told me ahead of time, explained the payroll issue, and handed me cash with a receipt the moment he had it. He started doing his own laundry. Badly at first, everything came out one vague shade of gray, but he learned. We weren't close. Not like movie montages. There were still days he was distant, scrolling through his phone, saying little. But there were also days when he'd ask, "Hey, how do taxes work?" Or, "Can you show me how to change my oil?" And I'd feel that old instinct tugging. I answered his questions. I showed him how. But I didn't hover, didn't insert myself where I wasn't invited. About a year later, something unexpected happened. We were in the driveway, changing his oil, both of us dirty and sweating under the afternoon sun. He was grumbling about how tight the filter was. "Why is everything in life harder than YouTube makes it look?" he muttered. Because everything in life has rust on it, I said. He laughed once, a short huff, then went quiet. Hey, he said after a moment, voice tentative. When I said all that stuff before, about you not being my dad, about the house, do you still think about it? Sometimes, I admitted. I do too, he said softly. I wish I hadn't. I was trying to hurt you because I felt like you were trying to control me. But the older I get, the more I realize you were just holding up the whole house and asking me to pick up one end of the couch. I looked at him, oil smear on his cheek, hands shaking slightly from the effort of loosening the filter. I'm glad you see that now, I said. He swallowed. I don't know if I'll ever call you. He trailed off, the word dad hanging in the air like a fragile ornament. But I'm glad you're here. It wasn't Hollywood. There was no swelling music, just a small truth placed carefully between us. Me too, I said. We finished the oil change. He drove off with slightly too much rev on the engine because some parts of him were still very much 19. Later that night, I opened the folder where I keep certain papers. The rental agreement, the typed-up house rules, the screenshot of his texts with Mike. I added one more thing, a small sticky note with a date and the words, Dylan changed his oil himself today. Asked for advice. Listened. It sounds silly, but I needed the reminder that people can grow, even if they've burned you before. As for Mike, he drifted back to the periphery. Occasional texts, a holiday call here and there. Dylan sees him, but he sees him differently now, not as the blueprint for freedom, but as a cautionary tale. And me? I stopped waiting for the dad label like a prize. I stopped bleeding myself dry for someone who didn't want what I was offering. And the weird thing is, once I pulled back, once I stopped begging for the role, he started inching closer on his own. Drawing that line, saying out loud, "You are not my responsibility anymore," felt like giving up at first. Now I see it for what it was, handing him the weight of his own life and refusing to carry it for him while he kicked me for the effort. So that's my story. My stepson told me I had no say in house rules or how he lives his life. So I took him at his word, stopped being his unpaid parent, and told him clearly, "You are not my responsibility anymore. You are your own." Now I have to ask you, was I wrong for what I did? For turning our relationship into a rental agreement instead of playing dad to a kid who only wanted my money and not my guidance? Should I have just kept paying and hoping he'd come around, or did I finally do what any reasonable person would have done? Let me know in the comments what you would have done. Would you have kicked him out immediately, given him more chances, or do you think drawing that hard line was the only way he'd ever grow up? And if you enjoyed this story and want more deep, real Reddit tales like this, please hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. It helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you stories like this one. Thanks for watching.